The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Suckling on the teat of tech.
With Paul Brislen.
Yes, live from the Koru Lounge, heading on his way down to the Hawke's Bay. It is Paul Brislen. Good morning, Paul.
The Bay of Hawks, yes. No, I'm looking forward to it. Sorry, it's very noisy here. I thought this would be quiet, but I appear to be under a speaker.
There's a party going on in the Koru Lounge.
There is a strange woman with a gold top hat going around giving people champagne.
Really?
I'll be over there shortly to find out what's going on. I may not make it to the Hawke's Bay. I may just stay at the Koru Lounge.
Indeed. All right, now a few things to get through. First up, let's talk about broadband speeds in New Zealand. It's been a while since we've had a conversation around this, and the reason why I want to talk about it is because I've recently made a switch of ISPs. I've gone from Vodafone over to Orcon.
Yep.
And I was switched on Orcon through to a technology called EUBA, and it seems
enhanced something, which is it's the wholesale service from Telecom in effect.
Okay, right.
Rather than unbundling.
Yeah, because on my particular exchange, for some reason, right there in the middle of Auckland, I'm not unbundled. But anyway,
you can't unbundle. Yeah.
No, for some reason. But anyway, no one's explained that. But anyway.
No.
But it seems like the information superhighway is going straight through my house. Man, I'm on the fast train.
So this is because the difference between the original wholesale rate called UBA, and the new stuff, enhanced, is all about the committed information rate, what they call the CIR. This is how much your line is expected to carry at peak times. So if everybody on your exchange is all using the internet at the same time, you are guaranteed a certain amount of throughput. Okay? Right. Your connection speed will be at a minimum, we need a little fanfare thing, because I'm not very good at that, 45 kilobits a second.
Hang on, that's a little bit faster than dial-up, isn't it?
It's barely dial-up, isn't it? 45 kilobits a second on the standard UBA product. This was deemed to be broadband. Okay? Once you've got over the gobsmackingly stupid idea that is, enhanced UBA increases that, and there are now various flavors of it going up to, I think, 125 kilobits a second.
At the minimum.
Also, at your bare minimum, that is your committed rate. You will always get 125 kilobits a second. So now this is because, of course, you share the bandwidth with everybody else on your exchange. Yeah. And when your connection speed says you're syncing at 15 megabits a second, that's fine. But if there's it's the on ramp to that super highway is this committed information rate, and the bare minimum, if everybody's trying to get on all at once, you'll drop down to 125k.
Okay. Well, it seems to have made a much larger difference than what that actually says, because okay, I'm not going to say that Vodafone was terrible, because it wasn't. There was some good broadband coming from Vodafone, but in this changeover period, it was a little bit awkward, and my broadband jumped down to at peak time. I was barely getting a megabit to a local.
Crawling.
Yeah, to Auckland.
Right. Yeah.
But now,
committed rate and sharing. Well, now you're screaming along.
Like 13 megabits last night.
So that's what I get typically off Vodafone's unbundled connection on the Mount Roskill exchange. It's quite quick. It's uncontended, because that's the beauty of unbundling. The ISP that's done it can say, okay, well, I actually want to offer a higher quality of service, so I might go for 200 kilobits a second committed information rate, or even higher. Right. On the ultra-fast fibre, they're talking about a committed information rate of 1.5 meg, which is astronomically larger, and will provide you with that kind of service that you're getting at the moment all the time, potentially, if it all works, in 6 years' time, when we get that far. So, it's a big issue, because I think people don't realise about these committed information rates. It's also called, sometimes you hear about contention. Yes. They'll talk about 30 to 1 or 50 to 1. That means you're sharing your line with 30 or 50 others. And in New Zealand, we have very, very high contention rates compared with the rest of the world. And, you compare like for like, and we're actually getting a bit stuck. It's enough to make you want to manually or climb the pole and disconnect your neighbours. Well, it is, isn't it? And encourage them not to take up broadband. Oh, no, better off watching television. Oh, yes. Yeah, exactly. Hey, let's move on to one of our topics today involving getting rid of the credit card in the future. Yes. So I'm a big fan of getting rid of the credit card, mostly because I pay too much on it all the time. But it also annoys me that I've got to carry a card that's got a chip on it. I may have a Snapper card that's also got a chip on it. I've also got a cell phone that's got a chip on it. And the cell phone companies have long eyed up the banking sector because people don't like handing their credit cards over to strangers in shops who then disappear out the back. In restaurants, of course, they disappear completely. You never even see them. Then they come back several minutes later. What have they done with your credit card in the meantime? So the idea is that you keep your credit card in your pocket by embedding it in your cell phone. And so we've got this new chipset that's being much talked about around the world, the Near Field Communication Technology, NFC, which is designed so that you keep hold of your credit card, your cell phone, and you sort of wave it over a reader in the shop, and you never let go of it. The person behind the counter never gets their hands on your credit card details. And now this is quite important because we're moving to a world where New Zealand's streets ahead of most other places with the FPOS service. Yeah. You go overseas, you forget how easy it is over here. It's all about cash. If you move to the US, you'll find yourself given a book of checks for the first time in 100 years, and everything's paid by check because nobody trusts the electronic services, and they just don't do it. So it's really quite frightening. But this near-field communication will leapfrog all of that and provide security, hopefully, a way of paying for things like your bus ride or your movie tickets or just buying stuff in a shop like you normally would, so using your credit card in your phone. We should start seeing this technology rolled out in phones in the future. Oh, very soon, I think, in the next year or so. I think Apple's looking at it in a big way. We're certainly seeing a lot of the retailers in the UK trialing stuff like this at the moment. And where it's really taken off, and it's a kind of a precursor to this, is in Kenya. And we've spoken about this before with a service called M-Pesa, which basically just uses text messages, but is much better than anything they've got. It's actually changing the economy of Kenya for the better dramatically. People are actually starting to be able to buy things and still have money kicking around to pay for school fees and things like school books, which is just fantastic. So, I think we'll see the end of the credit card in the next few years. It'll just become embedded in your cell phone. Very cool. And let's return to the issue of speeds, but this time with mobile speeds. Yes, there's a very fascinating survey that's come out of the UK that talks about mobile phone speeds and where the slowest mobile 3G broadband is and where the fastest is and all of this. The average speed in the UK is somewhere between 1.7 meg and 3.6 meg. These are speeds that we rolled out in New Zealand probably 5 years ago. In New Zealand, we've been rolling out Vodafone and Telecom both, and 2 degrees in some areas have been talking about 7.2 megabits a second. Telecom and Vodafone have been trialling 21, and Vodafone's now trialling 42. Yet in the UK, the best you can get is 3 megabits a second, which is really quite astonishing. You always picture New Zealand being somehow tardy in this and that we're behind the 8 ball. No, actually, we're streets ahead of the UK by a very long chalk. That's quite amazing. I'm just about to do a speed test on my phone there. If you've got a smartphone, I recommend getting the app for speedtest.net. So there's a little app you can download. I've got this one on the Android phone here, and you can test your provider and how fast they are by doing the test. I'm just going to do the test. Excellent. Now, I'm going to download that and have a bit of a play as well. The ping was 140 milliseconds, and excuse me, it's coming down at 2.9, almost 3 megabits, and that's 2 degrees. Yeah, and that's who I'm on, and it varies, of course, around the place, but that already puts you at the top end of the UK service. Without upgrading your phone to something that can handle the new speeds, the HS, because you need a new device for that kind of thing. Yeah. So if you get a stick with the turbo boost sticks or the HSPA plus is the technical term, you should be able to scream along at 6 or 7 megabits a second, twice as fast as you can get in the UK. Wow. Quite remarkable. Yeah. Awesome. Who knew? All right. Off to join the party there, Paul? Yes, I'll go and find this woman with the top hat and champagne. Awesome. Nice one. See you later. Thanks for that. Twitter.com/Paul Brislen.